David Uosikkinen in the Pocket is sponsored by the School of Rock Main Line. I'd like to thank the School of Rock Main Line, located at 511 Old Lancaster Road in Berwyn. You can visit their website at schoolofrock.com. Ask for Dave Marsh or Rick Allison.
Hey, everybody, I'm Andy Vineberg, and welcome to episode 117 of the David Uosikkinen in the Pocket podcast. And Dave, we're back.
We're back
together, man. I
We're
appreciate you welcoming back.
Yeah,
It feels great. We did 90 episodes together, and I had to leave the podcast for a while for a work conflict, and still got that job, but Dave is accommodated, and our producer Rich is accommodated, and it feels awesome to be back. We have an amazing guest tonight who we're going to get to in a minute.
Well, we got sponsors.
We got Dave. Why don't you tell the people about our new sponsors here on the podcast?
We got a couple new sponsors. Of course, we have the School of Rock Main Line, but we do have Pocket Percussion at 123 North New York Road in Willow Grove. Go see my friend Keith. The drums there are remarkable. They got great hang there with Trevor, Keith. You'll find drumsticks, drum pads, unique stuff. So look them up. They're terrific. You can call Keith at 267-603-3810. That's 267-603-3810. Also, I want to talk about Michael Zembach. He's a great drum teacher. He has a website called The Drum Fort. You can learn a lot of things. You could be a beginner. You could be a guy, a pro drummer. I've worked with him. You can learn all kinds of stuff from Michael. He offers a great program. He offers great package pricing. So give him a shout at 610-659-7969. That's 610-659-7969. Give Michael a call. Tell him I sent you. You're going to learn a lot. He's terrific. He's helped me.
Well, speaking of drumming and drummers, for our first podcast back, amazing. Dave, we have one of the best.
Legend.
You don't use that word lightly, but in this case, it's true.
Yeah,
the man is true. A legend. Dave and I are so thrilled on the first the relaunch of the In the Pocket podcast to have the incredible Roger Earl from Foghat with us. Hey, Roger.
Roger.
Is it really Roger Earl?
No, it's not Roger Earl. No, I'm his brother Patrick. I was lost for a very long time. I was left out in the wilderness wandering around.
And then I came back.
Well, now I know why you and Nick Jameson are like that. It explains it all, Roger.
Whoa,
you know, it's that sense of humor, man. You know. Oh man. Well, I'll tell you. I don't know if you heard Andy in the very beginning where he mentioned, you know, the word legend gets thrown out a lot. But listen, no, you are, and it's just what a career you've had, and you've inspired so many musicians. I was telling our producer Rich and Andy that I must have seen you Foghat in this. I guess it would be in the 70s, playing at the Spectrum. And I saw you, and it's funny. I would see shows, and there would be three bands playing, and a lot of time you would be playing in the middle slot. It was before and you did that because I think you liked that slot because you destroyed headliners.
No, the middle spot's the best because opening up is like not much fun. You only get like half an hour, then people are wandering in, making a lot of noise. They're not paying attention. Middle spot. Everybody's seated. Everybody's ready to hear some music. Hey, no problem. And then last spot, everybody wants to leave because they don't want to go out in the rush and get stuck in their car somewhere and people bashing into them. And middle spot's good.
Oh man. And when I think back at those shows, Lonesome Dave, I you know, like he taught us how to rock. You know, and you taught us how to roll, man. It was like the performances were remarkable. And when I think about that, like you probably were playing maybe at best an hour, 50 minutes at that middle slot, right? If best. And Rod, Tony.
An hour, I think, 45 to an hour, depending on the show, depending on who you're on the bill with.
No one not rocked a crowd like you guys did. I mean, it was amazing. It was this rock and roll band that had the blues, your rock and blues, but at the same time, at that time, the whole Bowie thing was happening. And I did see Rod come out dressed like Rod was like the coolest guy playing guitar, and he had a signature sound, and he'd pull out that slide, and Lonesome Dave would be singing and just ripping it up, and you'd be like just laying it down. It was a thing of beauty that I've never forgotten. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Anyway, I'm going to be yakking drums with you, so I'm going to get Andy in here. I'm sorry.
The cool thing about Foghat, well, there's a million cool things about Foghat, is you wouldn't know you guys were British. You guys were from Britain. I mean, when you think of American rock and roll in the 70s, Foghat is one of the bands you think of. I mean, and because you guys just mastered that blues rock sound. I mean, no one did it better.
No one.
Well, that was because all contemporary music, as far as I'm concerned, comes from the US of A. This is where it came from. We just sort of grabbed hold of it and went, embraced it. I mean, look, the blues, they dragged all our African brothers and sisters from Africa. Yeah. Then we got jazz, then we got bebop, then we got rock and roll, country music, folk music, church music. I mean, gospel music. This is the land of music.
Yeah,
where it all comes from.
Yeah,
growing up in London. Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to like Jerry Lee Lewis was my first influence. Chuck Berry, Little Richard.
Wow.
And then I discovered Muddy Waters and started digging John Lee Hooker.
Yeah.
But what did we have in England? Hey, nonny, nonny.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No. We hear you.
The US is where everything came from, and I think even to this day, the younger musicians, the young music, whatever you want to call it, again influences the world. And the best thing that ever happened to me was when I first came here in 1969 with Savoy Brown.
Yeah,
it felt like coming home. It took us a little while to get used to the fact that we're a British blues band. What the hell does that mean? Coming in England, we have a saying. It's called taking coals to Newcastle. Newcastle is where they dig it up. So why would you bring it there?
Right. I've been there.
How it felt with us coming to the States. But this is my adopted home. I love this country.
Yeah.
I think the music that this country has given to the world is far outpaces any of the downside, because without music, life would be a mistake.
Indeed.
Well said.
Indeed. And fishing.
Well, yeah, I fish, therefore I am.
Yeah, but, I know. I had to bring that up.
Yeah, I'm not that good.
Threw your curveball.
Yes, I fish, therefore I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not that good at it because the family would go hungry. So, but
you love it.
The worst part about it is in my current age stage, I put the fish back now.
Oh,
now it's like catch a nice big striped bass. I put on the water actually.
Yeah.
Especially in the spring, like April, May, big ones, and they've got these big brown eyes and
and they look at you.
Especially if she's like 30 pounds, it's probably somebody's grandmother.
Oh my goodness. Well, you got a heart of gold, Roger.
Peter's going to love you, Roger.
You got a heart of gold. I mean, so you mentioned playing in America and coming over in '79 and playing with Savoy Brown.
69.
I'm sorry, 69. And those Savoy Brown. It was just a few years that you played with Savoy Brown and then moved to do Foghat. But I read, I don't know if this is true, that you actually played with Jimi Hendrix for a little bit, or auditioned for Jimi Hendrix, or what was the story there? Which is amazing that you even played with him. Remarkable.
I auditioned for Jimi Hendrix. What happened was when I was about 18, I was in a band that Chaz Chandler was putting together.
Wow.
17 or 18. We didn't go out and play. We rehearsed together about 2 months, and nothing really happened with it. I was probably 19 years old. I worked as a commercial artist up in London. And Chaz called me up and said, have you heard of Jimi Hendrix? Well, he's all over the newspapers, or Eric and all the other guitar players. They were all sort of talking about this brilliant guitar player. I said, I've heard it. It was in the paper. We said, well, you want to audition? I said, yes, please.
Wow.
And it was out just off of Piccadilly Circus.
Right. Wow.
There was a blues club called Birdland Jazz Club. And I went there about midday, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Right.
As usual. I borrowed my dad's car to bring my drums up
to
London. And back then you could do it. You can't do it anymore.
Right.
I'm standing in line. And Jimmy comes up to me and starts talking to me about some songs he'd written the night before.
Wow.
And then we go in. I was about 5 or 6 drummers, about 5 drummers before me, something like that. Then it's my chance. And it was, I'd never heard anybody play guitar quite like that.
Yeah. We never have.
I have to be honest.
Right.
It took me a little while to actually find something that I could latch on to. I think slow blues to start off with, and I went, I know that one. I know.
Yeah. Wow.
I think he played a Chuck Berry song. Might have been Johnny B. Good, actually.
Yeah.
It I think it was like a Bob Dylan song, but he was very generous with his time. I know I played for at least around half an hour or maybe more.
Wow. That's remarkable. But you did well.
Well, I got it. You didn't get that gig, Roger, but I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you saw this. Blues Rock Review just put out a list this week of the top 10 blues rock drummers of all time. And you finished ahead of Mitch Mitchell on that list. You also finished ahead of John Bonham and Ginger Baker. You're number 6, according to Blues Review, the greatest blues rock drummer of all time, number 6.
Wow. And Sonic Mojo is still kicking.
Yeah, the new album.
We're going to get, why don't we, you know what? I mean, we don't have a lot of time. Is there anything you want to ask? Because I want to play something from the new record, because we all know the history of Foghat.
I'm not sure who compiled this list of drummers.
You're way too humble, Cat.
In great company. The top echelon of contemporary rockers over from the last, 50 or 60 years or whatever it is. But I am, I don't know quite what to say, to be honest with you.
Well, it's funny because Nick, when I told Nick, because I think I at one time asked Nick if he could help me get you on the podcast. This is going back about a year or so ago. And for some reason, I couldn't get a hold of Nick. Maybe Nick didn't see the message. But then the last time Nick and I spoke, and I told him that it looks like you're going to come on, he was just gushing about you, Roger, about one what a brilliant person you are, and then about your drumming. And, and I was listening to some older tracks, early Foghat. There was a compilation record that I was listening to, and you just laid it down, and you had these great fills and everything, the bottom end, and you're just you never overplayed. You just played all the right stuff. You were, and then from that era of music, that when you were really busting out, you never overplayed. You just played exactly what was called for. And you taught a lot of us how to play. You really did. So I tip my hat to you for that, man. Unbelievable. And
I think basically the way I approach music, I always wanted to play in a band.
Yeah.
I from early days, I knew I wasn't Buddy Rich or even close.
Who is, right? It's like he's a freak,
I did take lessons for 3 years, and my teacher was a jazz drummer. He was really good, actually, and very patient as well. But it's like I always wanted to play in a band. You can sit in the room and make noise, but playing in a band,
nothing like it.
And you can help build stuff. Playing with great bass players. I always had great bass players that I played with.
Yeah.
In the beginning, my best friend Dave Hutchins,
yes,
great bass player. In fact, he got me in the first band I was in. And then Tony Stevens was a really good bass player.
Yeah.
Craig McGregor he owned that part of the stage.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Jameson's a fucking genius.
He's serious.
Like that. Nick Jameson, he plays every and any instrument great.
Great.
I'll tell you a story.
Yes.
All right. We're doing the Fall for the City album
Yes.
up in Sharon, Vermont, on top of a mountain. And we had a house down at the bottom of the mountain where we were all sharing at the time. It's also the first time since the first album that we'd actually taken 3 months off the road. So we're up there. We do, and we're rehearsing and working on stuff. It was really a great time for us. And Dave had been carrying a saxophone around with him for the last couple of years in a hotel. So you knew where Dave's room was. So because Nick, we were all sharing a house, Dave would play his sax. One morning, Nick's not in the studio. We're all there. Nick's gone. He went into the town of Sharon, Vermont, and found, I think it was a soprano or sopranino sax.
Yeah.
Comes back and he decides that he's going to write charts for him and Dave to play. Nick had never played a saxophone before.
Yeah.
Dave had been struggling for the last 3 years or so.
Right.
Nick's playing out these charts and working stuff. The song was called Going to the Mardi Gras. It didn't make it to the record. I don't know what happened.
I wonder if he has it. I got to ask him about that.
It was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. And Nick, within minutes, Nick is playing this instrument.
Wow.
Don't you hate people like him?
Yeah.
Hate them?
Yeah.
They're horrible.
Yeah.
Immortals struggle and toil day after day just to get through the count of 4. Nick goes.
Yeah. He does that on everything, like the Already Free album.
I know.
He plays on everything. Eric Parker plays some drums, some on it. Yeah, indeed, a great super guy too. And Nick, I mean, virtuoso guitar player, incredible bass player, incredible piano player, and what really tops it off, he's an amazing songwriter. You know what I mean? He does it all.
Well, speaking about Nick, he asked us to ask you.
Oh,
speaking of the Fool for the City sessions, he asked us to ask you about getting your encounter with New Hampshire's finest after you were up all night. After you recorded Slow Ride, you guys had a little adventure with the cops. What?
We had a station wagon. We'd finished mixing Slow Ride and the B-side, which was Save Your Lovin' for Me. And we're coming back from the mountain, and basically Nick did all the work. I would bring him tea and biscuits and say, turn the drums up.
Right.
But anyway, we're coming down from Vermont, and we were imbibing in a little bit of marijuana.
Yeah.
Just to take the
edge off, right?
Sure.
And I come over this hill doing about 90, and right. Well, it was early in the morning. There was nobody on the road, and all of a sudden, there's all these policemen across the road pulling people over. And I'm going, oh shit! So we wind the windows down. I think Nick threw the substance out the window, and we rolled down the window, and we stopped by the police, and they say, are you from Canada? I said, no. They're stopping people from Canada that are coming across the border for some reason. I don't know. And then they said, okay, look, take it easy.
And that was it. They let you go.
Yeah, they were very kind. They could see that they didn't want to have trouble with us too.
Yeah.
They took one look at it and they went, just take it easy. All right, get out of here.
Yeah.
Now I have to be honest. I support our local police. I have done. I have a nephew who is a state trooper in New Jersey, and a couple of
hard job.
Sons who are New York policemen.
Yeah.
And I have a great deal of respect for them.
Indeed.
I know people go on about, and there have been issues, I'm sure. But like any business, you'll get people that are good and other people that aren't good at it. But I wouldn't want to be a cop.
No.
What those guys have to go through every day, trying to keep it right. And in general, dealing with a bunch of lowlifes. But having said that, I've also seen them when they've been there for people that are in trouble.
Right.
Right.
That's one of the things that I don't think comes up enough. Cops in general
Do
do a
great things.
fucking job.
Yeah,
They're
indeed.
for you and to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
The times that it doesn't work out that way,
No.
that's sad. But they have their. We're talking about a job level that is very intense. I think it's almost like going to war half the time, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, well, we live in different times where, I mean, not to get too heavy about it because of what a week we have, but and I don't want to get into the gun thing, but when you're outnumbered and you're outweaponed by AR-15s and things like that, it's a little rough for police officers that are carrying, they've got the best weaponry, but it's not like going to hold up against some of these things that the criminals have. It's tough. It's really tough.
I just wanted to say that
I'm glad. Yeah.
Brothers in blue.
Yeah.
They have a rough job, and the other people like claiming we should defund them. That's just bullshit.
No. Yeah. How do you do? Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right,
let's get back to music.
So let me ask you something about I noticed you play a lot. You guys, Foghat has a fair amount of shows you do over the year. You're constantly moving. I guess you figured it out. You got to keep the wheels greased. If you don't, it won't work. So you keep that band rolling. It's remarkable how much you guys go out and are still working.
Kidding? I love my job.
Yeah,
I get paid for banging, kicking, and crashing stuff.
Yeah, baby.
And I play in a great band. This band, I played with tons of really great players in Foghat, and also when I was in Savoy Brown. But these guys, the band I'm in now, they are a real band. We play together, we share stuff. None of them are miserable.
There you are. I don't know if you could see it. I don't know if you can see the screen. There's your guys.
Roger, do you find
we have a good time?
Roger, do you find, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you find people are surprised when this band gets up and plays? Because, there'll be some people thinking, okay, it's not quote unquote Foghat because it's not Lonesome Dave, it's not Rod Price. But then you guys get out there and the new songs are fantastic. Do you find people are pleasantly surprised when they hear you play? Are you still converting people that, that even though it's not the original guys, it's still Foghat and it's still a great sound?
Well, it's Foghat because I'm still in the band.
Yeah.
It's sad that we lost Dave, especially Dave.
Yeah.
Rob wanted to retire. He was unhappy being on the road, and he was a brilliant sliding guitar player and a
amazing
of this band. Dave, that was sad because Dave loved to play, and he died too young. He had kidney cancer.
Oh.
And what the beauty about playing with Dave was that it was kind of a quiet guy. He knew.
Wow, really? That's amazing because he was so boisterous on stage. I mean, he was one of the two guys that I, as a young concert goer, Steve Marriott and Lonesome Dave. They were the guys that rocked an audience. Give them 10 minutes and they're going to have you in his back pocket. He was amazing. Both of them.
Dave also was a whole library and font of knowledge as far as all things blues, rock and roll, jazz, and gospel music because he loved the music, particularly religious. And he was also, I believe, a closet drummer.
Cool.
He knew every drummer who played on every record. I mean, he knew their names. When they played and what record they played on.
Yeah.
But the best thing about Dave was when it came to the stage, he'd go on stage and he'd give it 110%.
Wow.
And that from a drummer, a band's point of view, is just the best. When you've got like somebody singing and playing guitar, and give every ounce of energy they got.
Amazing.
It was like, it was the best. But having said that, I wouldn't want to play with anybody who doesn't sort of have that real enthusiasm for making and creating music and entertaining, actually, a word, if you will. But I have that again in this band. Scott Holt, he's just a kid. What is he, 56, 57? But he has that
love for it, passion.
that he loves and passion for playing and making music. He was Buddy Guy's second guitar player for 10 years.
Wow.
He learned guitar and sing.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and Brian Bassett has been with the band like 27 years now. He toured with Dave with us, and he toured with Rob Price as well for a while as well.
Wow.
So he got it firsthand as well. And Rodney O'Quinn is our bass player. Now we stole him from, who did we steal him from? Forgot his name now. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway,
Pat Travers.
Pat Travers.
Pat Travers band. Is that where you got him?
Yeah.
Let Roger. Yeah.
It's all right if we steal him. But the real cool thing about Rodney joining us is that when Craig McGregor was ill, we had four bass players in line for gigs that we were doing. Some of them were in other bands and stuff.
Yeah.
We had a set list which everybody had.
Yeah.
The thing was, I said to Craig, look, you're the bass player in this band until you tell me you can't do it anymore.
Right.
And so we had 4 bass players. And then
I think Kenny, for some reason, I play a lot with a guy named Kenny Aronson. And for some reason,
Kenny.
And I think Kenny. So Kenny's, I'm playing with him in a few weeks, but he's my neighbor, good friend of ours. He's been on the podcast, but I think he's played with you at one time.
He has, yeah. He played with it for a while.
Yeah.
Craig McGregor, he left at the time because he wanted to be home to bring his son up, which I think was, and that takes a lot for a musician to say that. But Craig was a real person. He was very, cool thing about Craig McGregor, he owned that part of the stage. He was a monster.
Yeah.
And he was my brother, definitely, because we didn't always see eye to eye about stuff, but we just loved. No, I mean, seriously, he didn't think. I remember once saying, the Allman Brothers, a great blues band. He said, they're not a blues band. I said,
oh, you got into that debate.
Every other kind of music too, jazz, country, you name it. No, they're not. I do him an injustice. He was great to play with, and he had incredible energy. And we would often, back in the day, we would spend some time together before we'd leave the hotel. We would get together and we would play either Little Feat or the Brothers Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Or something that we'd have these JVC boom boxes.
Yeah.
And we would always leave the hotel together. That's, we would talk about, I would always get cassettes back then from the shows each night.
Right.
Bob Coffey was our front of house engineer, just to keep an eye on what you're doing, tempo.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Back in the day, there was some serious youthful enthusiasm.
I bet. I bet. I mean, listen, when I guess the long version of Slow Ride, I heard a story. Nick told me this about, and then he reminded me about the studio when the power went down. He said that you were recording and you cut one take. I think you did one take of, am I correct? Slow Ride?
Yeah.
And the power went off. And then you could not, you had to, you couldn't listen to the playback till the day or two afterwards because the power was, what happened there?
Well, we were in Sharon, Vermont, on top of a mountain.
Yeah.
And it could have been one of the locals who'd had one or two too many adult beverages. Could have been a moose.
Yeah.
Power out. But Nick was right. Nick remembered that. I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah.
When we came back, I don't even know if it was weeks later or whatever it was. We came back and Nick's playing the tape. He said, all right, look, you just play along with it, Roger, and then I'll come down and join in on bass.
Yeah.
It was, Nick, what a fucking genius. That
track was and an amazing thing about that is I remember Nick was producing and then you needed a bass player and he ended up playing bass and he became, and at the time, he told me Stanley Clark, who's a local Philadelphia guy, started doing that. He had that unique plucking thing and it was bass, and Nick just shedded that lick and learned how to do it. and he plays that on that record, and it's phenomenal. I mean, insane. I mean, again, we're going off on the Nick thing, but you know, I mean, that track you cut, what you did, you kept that thing rolling. And what I love about it, that's a record that would not be made today for whatever reason, because it's not on the grid, or it's because it has life, and it's like a journey through a song. Am I right? I mean, that long version of that track, I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is like, it was unbelievable. And it just gets better and better and better. I mean,
I could say this: Slow Ride has been very, very good to me.
I bet. And for the city too.
Yeah, no, it's classic Foghat sounds and music.
Yeah,
I said earlier, you know, playing with Nick Jameson as a musician and as a friend was one of the highlights of my life, and probably one singular person that I learned a great deal from. I learned what not to do, and it was always fun. Nick, when I'm, you know, like we're putting stuff down, Nick will come up with ideas. He's a great percussionist too.
Yeah,
hey, people like that. No, and we'd be working on stuff, and then Nick would say, "What about doing this?" And then we'd try something. Yeah, and I remember one song we were doing. We were doing an album of all other people's songs, like R&B songs, you know, songs called "In the Mood for Something Rude," and we're doing I think it might have been a Marvin Gaye song, I think. And I was familiar with the song and the arrangement that we were doing, and we'd rehearsed it a couple of times with Dave singing, and so I knew what the vocal cadence was, and I you know, I was in the zone.
Yeah.
And I get in there, and I'm probably playing with guitar and bass or something, maybe David Raw.
Yeah.
First take.
Wow.
And our manager is in the studio.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, do it again." Nick said, "Why?"
That's a great producer. There you go.
And my manager said, "Well, we'll do another one." Nick said, "No, that was great." But that's one of the reasons I love Nick Jameson. Also, where it was really cool, Rod could burn as a guitar player.
Yeah, sure. Amazing.
He was very intense.
It sure was.
There was a producer that we'd used before, Tom Dawes, used to let Rod put his solos together almost note by note. You know, like Rod would play a free phrase and they'd punch it in.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the reasons that Rod had a hard time playing live, because it was like Nick knew and understood the beauty,
spontaneity
of Rob Price's playing.
Yeah.
Because he would flow.
Right.
And every time Rod would say, "All right, do that again," and Nick would say, "Well, now let's keep the first part of that."
Wow.
Instead of, you know, note by note, and well, I don't know. And Nick would say, "Well, I haven't listened to it," and Rob would go, "Huh, yeah, oh yeah, yeah," and would encourage him to do the whole solo, not just a bit punch in here, punch there. No, Nick understood that Rod had a brilliant way of playing and his flow and intensity.
Yeah.
And Nick understood that, you know, as a musician, to make sure, you know, to let him play. No, don't punch in. Do the whole, play it with fire. Like, and I think Rod's playing on the Fall for the City album was probably some of the best that he's ever.
Yeah, I mean, it was always, you know, like I just from watching the band live, but that record is phenomenal. And speaking of records, I think we should
talk about the new record.
We need to talk about Sonic Mojo.
Yeah,
you know, because
there it is.
I mean, this is something that you're out promoting and you're doing. So
Wow.
Where did you record this? Where did you do the record? And can you tell us a little bit about Sonic Mojo?
It was recorded. We have a studio down in DeLand, Florida. It's in a house that we have. It's on 10 acres, middle of nowhere. We can make as much noise as we want.
Awesome.
Perfect.
There's deer and pigs and bears and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a lion there as well.
Yeah.
Well, panther, I guess you call it. Yeah, because we have cameras around the place.
Yeah.
We can make as much noise as you want. There's no red lights. Brian Bassett is our resident genius. He records us. He's the engineer. He produces us, and we can do whatever we want, and it works. We probably started this, probably 5 years ago. But after the COVID nightmare, that was when we'd sort of pull our fingers out and start, working and put it together. But we have our own studio, and it's a lot of fun because there's no red lights. We hang out, we play. We sit in the room. We can sit down acoustically and working out arrangements, or sometimes we'll just play and go, "This is fucking great. Let's keep it."
Right.
Other times we can sit there and do stuff with just the guitar and drums, and that we say, "All right," because Rodney maybe isn't there or something. It works for us. It's It's not. We can work as much as we want, or
not at all
as we want. It can be.
Yeah.
Usually, though, once we've worked an arrangement out for a song, I mean, we do a lot of jamming. We'll just play for hours. Just play. That's the fun part of it.
Wow.
It comes down to we're arranging it, and Scott's singing, and I'm playing. Trying to get the right sort of feel for it, and usually first or second take, no more than 3, and then of course if you have 3 takes, then you've got to sit there and go, well, which one do you like?
Yeah, right.
I played great on all of them.
Yeah.
And so did you. So throw a dartboard at it. No.
Wow. Well, why don't we hear? Let's hear.
Should we play some? Yeah,
play some.
The lead single from the new album is called "Driving On."
Yeah,
let's hear a little of it.
It's 2 a.m., long way to go. It's dark all over.
It's great.
The moon's starting to glow. Gotta stay awake, no matter what I do. Wanna see my girl when the night is through. I'm driving on, and I gotta be strong, and it won't be long. I'm driving on. She'll be waiting for me to pull in. I'll be so happy to let loving begin. I've been away, couldn't get home. Now I'm ready, been too long gone. And I'm driving on, and I gotta be strong, and it won't be long. I'm driving on.
That's great. Wow.
So, in case anyone was wondering, no, Foghat has never left.
Yeah, man.
Foghat is still in the building. That kicks ass. That kicks ass.
Somebody asked me the other day, they said I was having too much fun on this record.
Yeah, it's grooving and you're swinging, man, big. You've
Well,
always
you're playing a blues band. You have to be able to play a shuffle, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
the
Were you always a lot of
bass-
drummers sometimes that swing feel, did that come easy to you when you were a young guy? Was that something that you got easily? Because some guys sometimes, because you talked about jazz, you got the roots of it, feels so great when you play.
When I first started playing, I had a really good teacher, but I used to listen to records. I'd have like 2 6-inch speakers on either side of me. It would take up to a Grundig tape player with all the tunes I wanted to play.
Yeah.
I listened to, all the early chess record stuff.
Wow.
It was, with that, the early Little Richard stuff with Earl Palmer.
Yeah, the great Earl Palmer. Yeah.
Freddie Below, who played on all the stuff at Chess Records. Freddie Below was really cool because he would always underplay stuff. But every now and again, he would do something. You go, what was that?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
That's what I grew up listening to. And Bernard Purdie.
Yeah.
I actually did a session with him one time.
Oh, my goodness.
Sat side by side with Bernard Purdie. That was one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah.
That was where I got my only 3 times from.
Yeah.
This is true. We've got Dave and I were with our producer. We had a day off in the city, and we're up at our producer's apartment. And it was the first time I drank frozen Russian vodka. Anyway, I digress. So we're sitting there and we're talking about music and stuff. And Tom Dawes, we were talking about drums and stuff. And Tom Dawes said, I use Bernard Purdie on all my sessions, because we were talking about Aretha Franklin and grooves and stuff. Yeah. And Dave and I look at each other and go, Bernard Purdie? And we said, well, can we get him to play on our record?
Wow.
Well, yeah, as long as you pay him. Said,
him.
So
you got him to do so. Wow.
We had 3 songs that we were going to do. I knew the arrangements. We just hadn't recorded them yet. And Bernard came into the studio. We were set up as in New York, Manhattan, big studio. And the band was the guitars were in a semicircle facing me. And Bernard is off to my left. And Dave is singing live into a mic. And Bernard's in there. I helped put the drums up before he got there because it was a rental kit. He brought his own hi-hats and pedal, I think. Anyway, he's setting his drums up, and I'm sitting, as far as I'm concerned, sitting next to greatness.
Sure, of course, yeah.
And also one of the most beautiful, coolest human beings you can imagine.
Yes.
He's always smiling as well.
Yes.
And so he's up there, and then he's getting some sounds, And then our producer Tom Dawes comes out and puts a wallet on his snare drum.
Right.
And Bernard looks at him and says, "What are you doing?" And Tom says, "Well, it's ringing." He said, "It's a drum. It's supposed to ring." I think eventually they said for some. Anyway, he's sitting there, and Tom gives him the charts for the 3 songs, and he looks over at me, and I'm going, "Okay," and he says, "Okay, we'll play this song 3 times. First time to get the arrangement right." The second time, get the song right, and the third time for fun. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, I like this guy. And it was a beautiful, and we did that with the 3 songs. We did 3 takes of each one. Yeah. I don't even remember which ones we kept, but it was magic.
It's amazing. That's great.
The way he plays. Yeah.
Smooth.
And one was a shuffle, and the other 2 just the way he plays. And I was like, it was so fucking. That was a highlight of my life.
Oh man, it's amazing. Yeah.
And Bernard Purdie's to my.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That's one. I love to see the passion. Did you ever meet Bobby Graham by chance when you were in England? Yeah, because Bobby was doing a bunch of session stuff, and Tim Catani was another guy. I was just wondering if they were the kind of the Purdies of the UK back in the day.
Well, I left there in 1972, actually. So, but this is home for me. You guys are a little funny, but it's all right.
Well, listen, we're glad you made it your home because. And we're both very, very thrilled that you're still doing what you're doing and touring and obviously the passion that even the way you talked about Bernard. He's a friend of mine, so I'm going to make sure that so he'll make sure he sees the podcast so he can see and hear what you said, and I'm sure he'll love that. But just talking about the Foghat back in the day, and Nick, and then what you're doing today. What's on the horizon with Foghat? What's coming up? What are you doing with the record and touring and things like that? What's coming up next?
We have tons of stuff, like we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
We have each band member is doing 3 or 4 interviews a day.
Wow.
Our manager really, really loved this record, and she said, we're going to do something with this. We're going to find a way to get it heard. She's absolute dynamite.
Well, we'll help you with it too.
Yeah, well, as soon as you're done, for all the listeners listening and watching this podcast right now, as soon as you're done, go onto your favorite streaming service, because 3 of the songs are already out. The first 3 singles are out. They're all great. And then the album comes out November 10th, so you can buy it in full on November 10th, which is do you still get, after all these years, Roger? I mean, this is, I think, the 17th Foghat album.
Yes.
Do you still get a thrill when you have new music out that you can share with the public?
Yeah, especially this record. I mean, there's not a record I don't enjoy one way or another, but this one was particularly good, I think, because every song, it was easy to pick them. We knew which ones we wanted, and there were other songs that we recorded and played and said, it doesn't have that. Each song should have a little bit of magic.
Yeah,
a bit where you go, or the melody or something that just grabs you. And I think we got it right on this record. We had a ton of fun doing it. And also because we're playing 3 of the songs in our set, which is pretty brave.
Yeah, I know. I would to put new stuff, because most people, I think there was a Saturday Night Live bit where Mick Jagger came out, or no, it was Jimmy, one of the late night shows, and one of the lists they had Mick Jagger do, where he said, like, one of the things is who gives a fuck about your new song? It was like some bit of a list, but it's trying to play a new song nowadays for an audience that wants to hear. They want to hear Slow Ride. They want to hear Fool for the City. So it is brave. 3 new songs.
They will hear those. We would do it an hour and 15 minutes. That's generally what we're booked to do, or an hour and a half or 45. What they want. Now we're up to an hour and 47 minutes.
Wow.
That's cool.
Because we're having fun. It's like,
right.
Hey, you know what it is? Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I want to watch Roger play along to another song. Rich, we don't have time to hear the whole song, but can we hear a little bit of She's a Little Bit of Everything?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a good song.
That's great.
Smile on the inside, a beauty to see. Tells it like it is. She keeps a mystery. She's got it all. She's dragging me in. She's a little bit of everything. Sweet as an angel.
Wow. Go get the record.
Good stuff.
Hey, I'm telling you,
That's one of my favorites.
yeah, you're grooving on that, man, and just laying it down. Your tone. Hey, let me ask you. I've seen some photos. I saw you playing DW drums.
Yeah, I'm endorsed by DW.
Me too.
Excellent. And because we do so many flying dates.
Yeah.
I do my own cymbals, pedals, and snare.
Yeah.
But the drums, DW drums, are just incredible. My drum tech will spend 5 minutes like tuning them,
and they're ready to go.
They're fantastic. And the people who make DW, I've been to the factory a number of times.
Garrison and John.
They actually employ guitar players.
Yeah.
To make drums.
Yeah.
I particularly like that.
Yeah. I mean, they're amazing company, and I don't know if you have had a chance to check out the new website, but the new website, the new DW website, is remarkable, and they've done a great job with the photos and every artist pages. It look great.
Am I out there?
Yeah, you're there.
Am I?
Yeah, you are. Of course.
No,
That's how I knew you were playing DW.
Oh no,
that's how I knew. Hey, listen, we're super thrilled that you would join us. I know how busy you are. Your publicist Rose, who does a great job.
I'm not. No, I want to talk to you guys some more.
It's great. Well,
it's good.
Hey, if we're talking some more, I had another question about the new album. So your old Savoy Brown bandmate Kim Simmons co-wrote a couple of those songs. Sadly passed away a year or two ago, but
recently.
But so it kind of brings it full circle. I mean, you're still just getting to write songs with the guy you played with in Savoy Brown 50 years ago.
And the guys in the band were really, really pleased about it. They all knew Kim as well.
Yeah.
In fact, this is a little known fact. Just before COVID hit, Kim had talked to Scott, because we put a band together called Earl and the Agitators, because we had a bunch of records, so we put it out. And Kim, I think, must have heard that. And he actually talked to Scott about joining Savoy Brown. That's how cool it was then. COVID, and then it didn't work out, and then we said, Scott, actually no, Charlie Hune, our longtime singer for 20 odd years, decided to retire. Fortunately, Scott was in the studio at the time. We were working on some new tracks, new songs actually, and it was like, wow. But I think it must be hard when you have to say, I'm retiring.
I don't know.
I've had tons of work done on my hands, my knees, my shoulders, everything. Everything's working good because my wife, who loves me dearly, is not afraid to spend money to get me fixed. Oh, no, not that kind of fix.
No, she's been great because she was very helpful in getting. We spoke when I was in Omaha, and she very, very because Jeff hooked us up. My friend Jeff Simon.
Yeah, I know.
And she was great helping us put this together to have you. So, thank you, Linda, very much. Great.
I have to say something. The other day, we're good friends with George Thorogood and the Destroyer, and Jeff is like just fantastic. They were on with Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen Sammy in over 30 years, maybe more. We did a whole bunch of dates together when he was in Montrose.
Oh, wow.
Linda got a friend got in touch with a friend, and Sammy's wife came out and sort of grabbed us and said, Sammy would like to say hello to you. So we went back into the room, and I was hanging out with Sammy. And then I said to Sammy, look, I'd really like to, say hello to your drummer. Could you help me out there? And he said, yeah. So we go in the dressing room, Jason Bonham.
Yeah.
That kid is a monster.
Oh, yeah. And he's doing so well.
And the guitar player, Vic something.
Yeah. The Circle, right?
And the bass player, you know,
Michael Anthony, right?
Michael Anthony.
Yeah.
I got to give Sammy his due. He's a monster band.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think they had in-ears. It didn't sound like it because
I noticed that as well.
But I just had to say that Sammy put this incredible band together, and we were gobsmacked. It was they were monsters.
Yeah.
And
so
Jason would play just the incredible stuff, and his groove, his time, his feel and they sounded really, really loud, not unlike his dad.
Yeah. It's funny. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree on that one.
Right.
He plays beautiful. He's really great. You mentioned ears. Do you use in-ears when you play? Do you use in-ear monitors when you play?
Fuck that shit.
No,
the only way you can use in-ears is if you have your own setup and your own monitor guy.
Yeah.
We don't carry a monitor person at the moment.
Right.
We've got 4 crew.
Right.
But then it would be 5, and then you'd have then you've got to cut all the stuff.
Right. Yeah, you do. It's an expense.
and flying. Well, yeah, but flying. Soon as the people at the airports who check everything, they go, "What are all these wires? What do they do?" Oh, what's this? What's this? What is that? A pedal board. What's a pedal board? What do you need pedal?
Oh, Jesus.
And
then the line's a mile behind you already when you're there.
Pedal board, a car,
Wow.
Scott's board. It's like, could you imagine if we had, computers packed in something? They go, "What's this computer do?"
Yeah.
But I just had to say that about Sammy Hagar putting this incredible band together.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard Sammy in such a long time. He was singing great, playing great, and the band were just roaring.
Yeah.
And what George Thorogood is.
But like you, though, George's band is kicking ass. Sammy's band is kicking ass. You're kicking ass. I mean, listen, age is just a number. And if you have passion for your instrument and you're still out there throwing down, that's all that really matters. I mean, it is like there's so many examples of amazing, musicians that have been doing it for so long. They're still out there carrying the torch. And that's you.
I'm going to roll till I'm old and rock till I drop. Like I said, I've been worked on. I have a great hand doctor as well. I'm going to roll till I'm old and rock till I drop. If I can't play to what I want to and a way that I want to, look, the thing is, that it's heads, hands, and feet.
Yeah.
Comes out here and it comes out
right.
Here. And that's where the physical side of comes from. You have to remember the arrangements, all right?
Right.
And the rest of it comes out your hands and feet. And when that stops, then there might be time, maybe the band to say, "Oh, Rog, you want to start the song off? Pardon?"
Well, don't stop. Yeah. Don't stop. I hope you just keep on rolling and any dates?
I got a couple of dates right here. You mean tour dates? We got so the album release show is in New York City on November 12th. The official Sonic Mojo. Hold it up again, Roger. There it is.
There we
Rich
go.
has it.
Right.
Sonic Mojo album release show at the Iridium in New York on November 12th. And then for the people, we have a lot of listeners in the Philadelphia area. December 9th at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City.
Oh, right on.
And then there's dates all over the country. So go online and check out the rest of the Foghat tour.
I'm going to try to make that December 9th date because we have a place in Atlantic City, and maybe I'll drag you out for a nice sandwich there, Roger. We'll hang.
I don't eat before I play.
Okay, we'll take you out afterwards.
But then I have to drink wine.
Okay, we'll take you out for wine. Man, I listen. All the best.
Thank you.
Keep it up. I mean, I know you will. It was a complete honor for us to have you on.
Absolutely.
You were the first one on our podcast since we've brought it back, and we can't thank you enough. I will pass your regards, your hello to Bernard and Nick and everybody, and Jeff for
Simon,
helping us do this. And thank you. Thank Linda for us and Rose, and it's been a real
a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, we don't do it. We don't do it alone.
No, we have a brilliant crew as well. It works. There's really an issue or a problem, and the other thing is, it's to be enjoyed. We're making music. It's just not like going to work. No. You know what it is? Traveling, sitting in planes, sitting in trains, sitting in cars. That's work. But up on stage, it's like
it goes by like that. It goes by like that. So enjoy. It's like Warren Zevon used to say, "Enjoy every sandwich."
Wasn't his lyrics? I love Warren.
He would
crack me up.
Amazing. Amazing.
He was
amazing.
He was really.
Well, listen, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
The great Roger Earl from Foghat.
The great Roger Earl. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Andy. You guys rock. And thank you. I had a good time talking to you guys.
Thanks, Roger.
Bye-bye.
Have a great tour. Wow, was he amazing or what?
Incredible. He's one of the greatest.
Thank you so much to Roger Earl from Foghat for joining us on the podcast tonight. And I know we have about 30 seconds left, Dave, but the Hooters had an amazing year too. The new album, the tour.
50 new record, 55 dates from May up to September 18th. We're finishing up the Keswick Theater next Friday and Saturday. We're rehearsing this week. It was fun. We're having a blast.
That's great. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about
Yeah.
the Hooters year. They're
Yeah.
in the Keswick Theater this weekend. So if you're around, checking them out.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for Dave, to Rich, and for Roger Earl. I'm Andy. He's Dave. We'll see you next time on In the Pocket.